If you're a content creator, you already know this. A great voiceover can be the difference between a good project and a fantastic one. But man, getting that perfect audio can be one of the biggest headaches. So in this explainer, we're diving into how AI voice generators are promising to fix that exact problem for good. I mean, are you really tired of it? The endless retakes, the neighbor's dog that decides to bark only when you hit record, spending hours editing only to listen back and realize you kind of hate the sound of your own voice on the 50th try? Yeah, it's a massive pain for creators. We've all been there. Okay, so let's really get into this. For the longest time, professional sounding audio has been this huge wall. It's one of those key things that separates the amateur feeling content from the stuff that really feels polished and professional. And these problems, they don't just exist on their own. They all pile on top of each other. You might spend a ton of money on a voice actor, but then you need to change one line in the script. Well, that means another session, more time, and more money. Or you do it yourself, and you blow an entire weekend just for a few minutes of audio that honestly sounds a little different from one take to the next. It's just a really frustrating loop. But what if you could just skip that whole messy process? This is exactly where AI technology steps in, specifically something called text-to-speech, or TTS. And believe me, it is an absolute game changer. The basic idea here is just incredibly powerful. You write the words, and the AI speaks them. But we're not talking about those old, clunky, robotic GPS voices from back in the day. Modern TTS is all about creating narration that is so close to a human speaker with all the natural tones and rhythms that it's getting really hard to tell the difference. And the process itself couldn't be simpler. Seriously, forget about microphones, soundproofing your room, complex audio editing software, none of that. You just type your script, you pick a voice you like, and you click a button. You can have a professional-sounding voiceover ready to go in less time than it takes to brew a pot of coffee. So as you'd expect, the market is now flooded with all these different tools. But here's the catch. They are not all created equal, not even close. And picking the wrong one can be just as frustrating as trying to record it all yourself. So how in the world do you choose the right one for you? Well, based on the source material we're looking at, we can pretty much group all these tools into three main categories. Let's call them three different paths a creator can take. And each path comes with its own unique set of pros and cons. Let's kick things off with the first path. This is the kind of tool that's all about quantity. Its main selling point is a massive, almost overwhelming library of different voices and languages to choose from. Now, you can see the appeal here, right? Variety. If you need a totally different voice for every project you do, this seems like a dream. But the source points out a really big catch. A lot of these voices just don't have that human feel. They can sound flat, a little robotic, and that can completely kill the vibe of your content and make your audience tune out. All right, let's move on to our second path. This one is built for the super tech-savvy user. You can think of it like the professional audio engineer's AI toolkit. It gives you a crazy amount of control over every little detail. Now look, for a developer or someone who just loves to get in there and tweak every single setting, this path is incredibly powerful. You can control everything. But for the average creator who just wants to make a video and move on, the source says this is usually just overkill. The complexity, the high price tag, and that steep learning curve can actually slow you down more than they help. And that brings us to the third path, which the source presents as the real sweet spot. These are the tools that aim for that perfect balance between realistic, high-quality voices and a simple, user-friendly experience. They're designed specifically for creators. And the main example highlighted in our source is a tool called Speechelo. You know, the features that the source points out here aren't just about turning text into audio. They're about turning text into a performance. The ability to add things like natural breathing sounds, or pauses for dramatic effect, or to switch between a friendly tone and a serious one, that's the stuff that really closes the gap between an AI voice and a real human voice actor. And that whole beginner-friendly thing is obvious the second you look at the interface. You paste your text, all your options are laid out nice and simple, and you click Generate. The design means you don't need to read a huge manual. You can just jump in and start using it right away.
So we've walked through each of the three paths on their own. Now, let's do the fun part. Let's put them head-to-head based on the source's analysis and see how they really stack up on the features that matter most to us creators.
Okay, this table really lays it all out pretty clearly. Just look at those top two rows, natural voice quality and ease of use. According to the source, Speechelo gets top marks, 3 check marks in both. Generator A, that's our vast library, it's pretty easy to use, but the quality just isn't there. Then you have Generator B, the expert tool, which has great quality, but it's a pain to use. The source positions Speechelo as the tool that actually delivers on both and does it at a much more affordable price. So, after weighing all the pros and cons of each path, our source material comes to a very, very clear conclusion about which tool is the right choice for the vast majority of people making content out there. And the sources analysis names a clear winner, Speechelo. The reasoning here is that it doesn't just have a bunch of great features, it has the right features, and they're presented in a way that actually empowers creators instead of overwhelming them with options. According to the source, it just strikes that perfect balance. You know, this quote from the source just sums it all up perfectly. At the end of the day, the best tool isn't always the one with the most voices or the most complicated settings. It's the one that helps you get the job done quickly and easily while still giving you a professional, high-quality result. And that really leaves us with one last big thought. This kind of technology is tearing down the technical barriers to creation, leaving us with, well, just our own imagination. With the power to generate a perfect voiceover for any script you can write, the question is no longer how you're going to say something, but what you'll choose to say. Thanks for joining this explainer.